This week we're in Barcelona for the Grand Prix of Catalonia to start the second half of the 2020 Motogp season. And what a season it's been so far. We've had first-time winners, so much drama. We've even had a team who've been racing in the Premier class for 20 years take their first win. Miguel Oliveira powered to victory in Austria on board his Red Bull Tech 3 KTM. And talking of Tech 3, that's who we're going to see for this week's Piece of the Week. We're going to be talking all about MotoGP fuel tanks, so without further ado, let's go and find out what we can learn. This is Nicolas Guyon. He is Iker crew chief, and you've been in the paddock since 2003, I believe?
Yes, indeed, 2003 I started.
He's been responsible for some of the young talent we've seen coming through the Tech 3 ranks. And today, you're going to tell me all about fuel tanks, I believe?
Yes, if you want.
Where it is on the bike, because I believe it's slightly different than a production bike.
Yeah, well, it's true. On a production bike, basically you have the fuel tank in this area, while in MotoGP, the fuel tank is more in this area. So let's say you have part of the fuel tank here, and it goes back on the seat in this area.
So I'm guessing in that incident, it must be quite a different shape than a regular fuel tank.
You can imagine that the fuel tank is like, let's say, a flat V. So you have an area here and one part here. And the target is to try to keep the gravity center as much as possible in the center of the bike. During the race, when the fuel is getting less and less, you keep the gravity center at the same position, because both the side of the fuel get lower, and then you always have the gravity center in the same place.
I never thought it was for that reason. To be honest with you, I always thought it was so you could get like 22 litres of fuel in.
Yes, it is. And the problem also is that when you build the bike, you have a massive airbox here as much as possible. So in the end, you don't have so many space left here to design a fuel tank. So you have to use the remaining space on the bike to put the fuel, because 22 liters, as you said, is quite a lot. So let's say you have a little bit of fuel here, and then you use the maximum space around this area to try to fit the 22 liters.
I feel like in recent years we've spoken a lot more about fuel tanks changing shape. Like even with Lorenzo a couple of years ago, he had those weird fuel tank wings.
Yes.
Why is that?
It's not really the fuel tank. We call this a tank cover, and it's an add-on. And this is basically specific to each rider, because this part is really important. You see this shape, so the rider in the corner put the knee, and he is blocking his knee in this area, and this helps him to pull the bike toward the corners.
Right.
And so it's really for the rider to help him riding the bike.
And it's individual to every rider as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. This part belongs to each rider. It's designed basically for each rider, and so the shape is really important for the rider to pull the bike toward the corner or to ride the bike. And you also have this area. I don't know if you see really well, but this is like a piece of rubber that prevents the rider on the braking, preventing from sliding toward the front. Because one of the targets when you brake a MotoGP bike is to keep as much weight as possible on the rear, to load the rear tire. And you can imagine on braking you have a lot of force going toward the front. And to avoid it, the rider keep pressing around the fuel tank, and this grip prevents him from sliding toward the front, and it helps the braking.
Talking about the actual fuel itself, someone told me that you refrigerate it.
Yes, it's true. By regulation, you're allowed to go down by 15 degrees below the ambient air temperature. So this is by regulation, and the target is to put as much fuel as possible in defined volume. If the fuel is lower, then you can put more fuel in the same volume. So that's why by regulation, it's allowed to go below 15 degrees below the air temp.
Cool. Well, that was really awesome. Join me, Amy Reynolds, and next time when we'll be in Le Mans for Piece of the Week.